Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed Nader and tonight we'll be focusing on the recent Asian tour by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, which started in India and then Azerbaijan and finally today in Armenia, to be boosting cooperation and coordination between Egypt and those three countries. And tonight I'm honored to be having with me in the studio to be shedding more light on this visit and the benefits of the three visits to the three Asian countries. I'm honored to be having Dr. Ibrahim Ghazawy, the Professor of International Law. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
First of all, we'll be starting straight away with a report about the most recently concluded visit by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to Armenia, more specifically to the capital Yerevan, where he met with the President of Armenia and the Prime Minister as well, to be boosting cooperation and coordination as the first Egyptian president to be visiting Armenia following its independence. All this and more after this upcoming report, so stay tuned.
Speaking at a joint press conference with Armenia's President Fagen Khatchatorian following their talks in the Armenian capital on Sunday, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi described ties between Cairo and Yerevan as distinguished and said that their talks had focused on Egypt's leap in the field of energy and its strategy regarding green hydrogen. The president further said the talks had also centered on issues of mutual concern, including the latest developments in the Middle East region. During the press conference, President al-Sisi stressed the significance of coordination between Cairo and Yerevan to achieve economic cooperation. He noted that efforts to remove obstacles facing investors in Egypt were discussed. For his part, the Armenian president described the visit as historical and asserted that Cairo plays a leading role in the Middle East. He expressed appreciation for care directed to Armenians in Egypt. President Sisi also held talks with Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan, during which they called for expanding cooperation between the two countries in various domains. President Sisi called for fostering ties between the two countries in various spheres, especially in light of the strong and extended relations between the two nations, emphasizing Armenia's positive attitude towards Egypt. For his part, the Armenian Premier expressed his happiness with the President's visit to Armenia for the first time, citing his country's interest in developing relations with Egypt in light of its role in the Middle East and African regions, as well as its independent and balanced foreign policy in dealing with complex challenges in the turbulent regional environment. He praised the historic and special relations that had long linked the two friendly countries and the momentum that these relations have witnessed in recent times through the exchange of high-level visits, the latest of which was the Armenian president's participation in the Global Climate Conference COP27 held in Sharm el-Sheikh. During the discussions, the president reviewed the ongoing development plan being carried out by the state, as well as the national projects being implemented, providing opportunities for investments. The talks also witnessed an exchange of views on a number of regional fields and crises, probing their implications on the security of the European continent. The two sides agreed on the need to strengthen joint cooperation to combat illegal immigration through a comprehensive perspective and work to eliminate the main reasons that encourage this phenomenon, as well as reviewing the latest developments in the fight against terrorism that threatens different countries of the world, where the importance of cohesion and collaboration of the international community was emphasized.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate. Dr. Ibrahim Al-Ghazawy, as we did see in the past report, the press conference concluded by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his counterpart from Armenia, Fagen Khatchatorian. They discussed, more importantly, the energy file and the cooperation in this field between Egypt and Armenia, more specifically in the green hydrogen. How do you see the importance of discussing such an important file?
Well, at first I have to shed the light on the significance of the visit at the time.
Yes,
it's the first of its kind from Egyptian president to Armenia. That's why there is sort of very deep appreciation from the Armenian side to the visit, and actually it came at the right time for both countries. As the whole world countries today are seeking more and more cooperation in a time of a crisis that has influence on all the world communities, no matter whether they are rich or poor. So, but coming to the file of the energy, especially today, after the deep effects of Russian Ukrainian crisis,
yes,
the file of energy has taken very far and threatening depth indeed.
Globally. More especially for Europe.
Globally, more especially in Europe because of the winter harshness there, and they suffering, of course, probably for the first time in their recent history from such difficulties they faced to make the energy resources available for European people today. So when you talk about energy, and we have also to say that Egypt has gone a long way in the process of clean energy production in recent years.
Yes.
And we have also to remember that the very recent conference in Sharm el-Sheikh about climate change, which brought the whole, most of the whole world leaders all together under the UN umbrella to deepen the commitment of the world countries to invest more and more in clean energy production.
Yes.
So, and Egypt, with its capabilities in recent years, have invested billions of dollars in that file. And probably more than 20% of energy in Egypt today coming from that clean source of energy, which is a great achievement for us. And also with ambitious targets in the near future to make this probably exceeding 40%,
yes,
which is much higher than most of European countries, if not all of them. So yes, Egypt can do a lot in that file in terms of assisting Armenia and joining hands together. And from the other side, it's an eye-opening for both countries to look forward for alternatives, because the classic resources of energy, sooner or later they are going to be exhumed or consumed totally. So what will happen? So today it's really, it should be a real target for all world countries to look for alternatives, safe alternatives, considering what we are witnessing from the side effects of climate change, the global warming, floods and storms and earthquakes and desertification and that sort of things. I think this is a goal that should be placed in the highest level of targets in both countries, and they did emphasize on that direction, which is very good.
Yes, another file that was tackled between both presidents in Armenia was the developments in the Middle East, the cooperation to be tackling the developments in the Middle East. What do you think was the most important topic that was tackled in this file, and the cooperation, the future, the potential cooperation between Egypt and Armenia to be solving the disputes?
One of the very important endeavors that could be taken by any country today is paving the road for foreign investment
Yes.
to be hosted. And Egypt also has done a lot in recent years, legislatively and in terms also of infrastructure and changing some or a lot of bureaucratic barriers and trying to remove any obstacles from the way of investment, whether national or international. But internationally, or the foreign investment is even much more important and significant for any economy, not only for Egypt. Indeed, looking even to United States economy or Canadian or French or British or whatever,
yes,
the foreign investment is much higher in terms of value and significance than the national ones, simply because the foreign investors, they bring money from outside.
Foreign currencies.
Hard currencies, foreign currencies. That enriches the economy, and that opens wider windows for more opportunities for employment, and also bringing in new technologies, advanced techniques, and management. So this is a real way of sustainable development for any society. And also, from the other hand, it strengthens the necessary cooperation between different nations for peaceful reasons, for sustainable development, which is the most important thing for people today. The living, the living conditions. Considering also that we are going through a tough time, not only Egypt or the Middle East,
globally,
the whole world,
yes,
globally. So now it's very imminent for us to look forward for wider passages for investment, foreign and national again. But foreign is even much more valuable at the time, because the outcome of foreign investment is even more multiplied than the national one when it comes to the real benefits for a national economy. So this was a real file that has to be focused on, and it takes some time, I have to say. I mean, based on the mutual agreement and mutual political will from the both country leaders to work on that direction.
Yes.
The two governments have to work hard on that file to bring them together and to facilitate the necessary procedures and steps that has to be taken to make this reality on the ground, to remove obstacles, to quicken the process of moving ahead.
Yes, removing obstacles, that's a very important point that was raised by His Excellency President Al-Sisi during the 3 visits to India, Armenia and Azerbaijan. What are the obstacles that are facing the investors nowadays in Egypt, and the progress that we have made ever since President Abdel Fattah Al-Sisi was elected in 2014 as president?
Well, I think one of the main obstacles is that you have a parallel market for currency, for Egyptian currency,
the black market.
And the black market, which Egypt has taken very harsh steps indeed to tackle this issue, even at the cost of the level of prices in Egypt. But that was an inevitable step to send a message of trust and confidence to foreign investors that this issue is no longer existing. And that is a welcoming message, because they have the right to feel worried when there is black market when it comes to foreign currency, simply because their gains over the time, if they spend a year here, could be lost or fly away if there is a black market.
That is a concern for the investor,
it's a real
the potential
concern.
investor.
Yeah, it's a real concern. Other thing is also, which is also was chronic in Egypt, is the red tape, administration, bureaucracy, which is usually delaying, the speed, the process, or the speed or the tempo of procedures were very slow and irresponsible at some time. So
have we made progress in this file specifically?
Well, to some extent, yes, we have made. I wouldn't say everything is okay, but we have gone in the right direction. But I must say also, it's not an easy task, because it's not only procedures, it's not only legislatives or laws or codes, and it's not money, it's the mentality of those who are responsible for the different administrative circle that are dealing with the investment process. Even small, agents and small employees and officials who are dealing in papers and registration,
the whole
accreditation. It's the whole system from the bottom to the top. And, ironically and sadly also, there was a time when, a huge process of investment, foreign investment was, shut down because of such irresponsible practices from low-level agents or employees or officials. So the president has shed the light and brought the attention of the whole government that there must be change in that direction. And they started a few years ago to make a few executive and legislative steps to make this slowly or at least step by step fade away or sometimes like unteeth the bureaucratic giant that was sometime existing for long years.
Yes.
As I said, it will take a long time, but we have done enough for the time being. It will take probably a couple of years. I always say, like tourism, for instance, we are challenged by changing the culture of Egyptian normal people.
Of the people on the streets, not just the people who are working in the industry.
Which is very important. Another obstacle that we have to learn, and we have to be cultured in terms of how to embrace foreigners, how to deal with them, how to feel responsible towards them. It's not totally an official circle or official process. It's a government duty from one side, and it's also normal individuals on the other side, and private sector companies from the third direction. And it has all to go in parallel lines, and we cannot overlook one of them because it doesn't work that way, especially in a file like tourism. Tourism is not just laws or not just tourism or tourism companies or facilities given at the hotels or airports or visa or whatever. That is an issue.
It's a whole atmosphere of the country.
It's a whole atmosphere because the tourist is not just coming at the airport and is not staying at the museum or not locked in the hotel room. He is living or she is living in the street. He's moving, walking.
And they want that.
And they want that.
They want the experience, the culture.
And this is a must. I mean, they have to feel comfortable, freeing or freely moving from one place to another without any need to be guarded or secured in such an open way that usually happens. That is not that's not welcomed, by the way. It's not an atmosphere of trust or confidence for foreigners that they have to be protected in a way that is, open to the public. They have to move freely without limitations. They have to feel comfortable with that. That's why I say always it's a big part resting on the consideration of the normal people on the street.
Yes.
They have to be a welcoming attitude for tourists, not only for tourists, indeed, for foreign investors, for cooperation with others, the tolerance, the warm reception, those who are dealing with foreigners in terms of bazaars and markets and shops or whatever, they have to consider their manners and their attitudes, and they don't have to exaggerate in prices. They have to be trustful, and they have to feel responsible indeed, because everyone of this circle is an ambassador to the country, and everyone is responsible. The outcome, when it is good or when it is high in terms of revenues, it goes to everyone.
Yes.
For the whole society benefits. It's not the government, indeed. So we need to feel responsible, and I believe also that we are moving probably slowly. I hope that the government will pay more or even more attention to tourism file, simply because this is the most, I would say, ready file to give good revenues in Egypt. We are very rich indeed in terms of tourism and resources in tourism. We have the monuments, we have the hotels, we have the beaches, we have everything indeed. So what we really need today is this welcoming environment that would make real difference.
Yes, and tourism and culture are very important fields that were discussed by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in India, in Azerbaijan and Armenia, as His Excellency just arrived back into Egypt safely. Do you think that the importance of having an Asian tour into India, into Azerbaijan, or for Armenia as well, could be having benefits into this year, in the near future, from in terms of culture and tourism, to be specific?
Well, this journey of the president, covering these three important countries, is a really positive move forward indeed. But it has to be followed by, I mean, this thread, the line has to be, caught by tourism agents, Egyptian companies, by the government officials and the top officials who are responsible for planning and implementation of the mutual agreement and understanding referendums that have been signed between the president and the three presidents and high officials in Egypt and their counterparts in India and other two countries. So what we need today is to magnify the positive impact that have been already achieved by President Sisi visits to these three countries. And I have to say also that this could be a step ahead, followed by other steps, visiting other countries. Although India and Armenia and Azerbaijan, they are important countries, especially India, and actually it's an economic giant indeed. So the gross domestic product of India is exceeding $3.1 trillion a year, which is enormous figure, and puts India in the facade of advanced economies in the world, in the same line with Germany and Japan, even much more than France and much more than United Kingdom, and more than double of Russia. So you're talking about a giant economy. And also talking historically, that we have very tight relations with India and also Armenia. It means that we have already, a structure of historical mutual respect and trust between these countries and Egypt that we can build on. It will not take a long time, indeed, to translate these moves into realities on the ground, into tactics, into plans that could be easily implemented, considering this sort of understanding and closeness in terms of our relations with these countries. As I say, the president is paving the way, removing big obstacles, and getting the way ready for the government to move ahead with hand with the companies and other circles of responsibility in the state and the country, and they have to build on that visit immediately. Yes. It's not just a protocol visit. It's not just a diplomatic effort. It's mainly...
We want to reap the benefits for both sides.
It's mainly economic one. And it's a beneficiary for these countries from their side, and also from Egypt, from our side, opening new markets, placing or creating new horizons of advancement and progress in terms of production, industry, agriculture, education, scientific cooperation, cultural cooperation. You have a lot of fields that you can really make new inputs, more significant inputs in terms of the relations between these countries and Egypt. And what I have to say also, that this should be like sort of an exemplary model of relations, for Egypt foreign relations. And I have to say that President Sisi, since his first days in office, has paid very much attention to African-Egyptian relations on one side, and also to other foreign relations in general. This recent visits even embodies this sort of President Sisi commitment to strengthen Egypt foreign relations, especially, as I say, at this recent time. We need this, and all other countries need this also. Cooperation today will help both countries, on every country, with this sort of cooperation and tight cooperation, to listen to the minimal level, the side effect of the Russian-Ukrainian crisis, which has ravaged and I would say had impacted very deeply and badly the world economies. And the prices have gone very high, to the highest levels, even in most advanced and developed countries. The inflation rates also have touched the ceilings, and even in big countries like United States.
So one of the main topics that was discussed over the three visits was the economy and the investment. So we'll be reaching to the second stop of the visits. It came through Azerbaijan to Baku to be meeting with the Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, with His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. We will be having a quick report about boosting trade and investment ties and the economy between Egypt and Azerbaijan in the upcoming reports. So stay tuned.
President Fattah al-Sisi and his Azerbaijani counterpart underscored on Friday and Saturday the necessity of enhancing trade exchange and bolstering economic partnerships between both countries' private sectors via the formation of a joint businessman council. This came during a meeting between the two presidents in the Azerbaijani capital Baku. President Sisi arrived in the country on Friday in the first ever visit by Egyptian president. The two leaders discussed means to promote cooperation, shining a spotlight on opportunities and potentials in both countries in several sectors. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Bassem Raji said that cooperation fields include renewable energy, infrastructure, transportation, pharmaceuticals industries, and tourism and culture sectors. The Azerbaijani president praised the economic reform path in Egypt, saying it has resulted in remarkable and continuous improvement in the Egyptian economy, expressing his country's keenness to elevate ties and consolidate cooperation with Egypt at all levels. He also asserted President Sisi that Egypt plays a pivotal role as a pillar of stability, security, and peace in the Middle East and Africa. In addition, both presidents witnessed the signing of several memoranda of understanding between governmental entities in the two countries in areas of trade, culture, and water resources. On Friday, President Sisi held a meeting with Azerbaijani businessmen and CEOs of major companies, along with the ministers from both countries, where he expressed his aspiration to increase public and private investments from Azerbaijan in Egypt. The businessmen stressed to Sisi that they are interested in fostering cooperation and joint investments with Egypt, especially in light. President Fattah al-Sisi and his Azerbaijani counterpart also examined several regional and international issues of mutual interest. The Azerbaijani president hailed the positive role played by Egypt to settle regional issues. The two presidents also concurred on the importance of supporting efforts for political settlement in Syria, working on rebuilding the country, eliminating terrorist groups, and supporting state institutions. They emphasized the necessity of preserving the territorial integrity of Syria, realizing the legitimate aspirations of the Syrian people, and ending their human suffering. As for Libya, Sisi also reviewed Egypt's vision for settlement in Libya and its efforts in this regard to support political, constitutional, and economic tracks. The discussion covered repercussions of the Russian-Ukrainian war and the latest updates on the Palestinian cause. The meeting also tackled the efforts to combat terrorism and extremist ideologies, as President Sisi called for concerted efforts by the international community to besiege this scourge at all levels, be they with regard to financing terrorist groups and supplying them with weapons and terrorist elements. During the meeting, President Sisi also extended his condolences to Azerbaijan after Friday's attack on its embassy in Tehran that killed its security chief and injured two guards, wishing a speedy recovery to those injured in the attack. He also affirmed Egypt's full solidarity with Azerbaijan in face of this painful incident. It stresses once again the importance of rejecting extremism, violence, and terrorism.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate. Dr. Ibrahim Al-Ghazawy, as we did see in the past report, the bilateral ties between Egypt, between Azerbaijan, they were tackled. But as you mentioned, and as you focused in the first part of the program, that the economy is the focal point of this visit, of the bilateral ties for the future. How do you see the upcoming results and reaping the benefits of this visit of His Excellency President Sisi to Azerbaijan?
Well, as we say that we in Egypt have to use every window or every slot in terms of our relations with friendly countries like Azerbaijan and other countries. Because we have also to remember always the fact that a thriving economy is always based on foreign good relations and cooperation between different countries in the world. And from that direction, well, the files that have been discussed through the meeting between the two presidents were focusing on the most eminent and important files, and which is for both countries are of great significance, like investments, opening the way for investors in both countries, agriculture cooperation, scientific and technological cooperation, green energy production, also the file of the different problems in the Middle East, and also the appreciation from the Azerbaijani side to what Egypt has done recently in terms of the development and different achievements in different levels, especially infrastructure services and other positive developments. And they both probably expressed the real need for tightening these relations and going with this to further and deeper levels of cooperation, recognizing that this is the only way for magnifying or utilizing both countries' natural resources. They have to build on each other's capabilities and richness in terms of raw materials, in terms of industrial capabilities, in terms of availability of the know-how and technological schemes and efforts. And we have to say that if both countries really build in such a positive way on what have been achieved through this visit, I think this is going to be a win-win equation for both countries. And we both need this sort of relations that is very much beneficiary for both countries, and also it shed the light on the positive reality in terms of the Egyptian economy, which is it's very diversified. It's not just only based on one industry or one crop, agriculture or production. It's coming from different directions. So you have industry, you have Suez Canal, and you have tourism, you have agriculture, and you have the historical richness of Egypt as a very rich country in terms of civilization and that sort of things. And you have the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea, and very long, thousands of miles of very rich and clean beaches. Yes, we have to join hands because we have a lot to talk about and to work both together on these files. And I'm quite sure that if the government is moving in the right direction towards investing or translating the outcomes of this relation in the right way, this is going to yield very positive feedback in a very short time. It will not take a long time until they could be able to embody this visit into touchable achievements on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
On the other hand, President Sisi mentioned in this visit specifically the visit to Azerbaijan and Baku, meeting with the Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, the importance of the private sector of both countries.
Yeah.
What is the importance of the private sector of the Egyptian companies to be going and investing into Azerbaijan and vice versa for the benefit of both countries?
Well, that is a point of, significance in terms of the capabilities of the Egyptian private sector. Yes. and their counterparts in Azerbaijan. Indeed, the capitalism economy is based on private sector, not based on governmental sector.
Yes.
And probably it has been historical policy for some governments in Egypt that when the government was in real control of most of the economy resources in Egypt, and to some extent we have been paying for this colossal mistake. But today Egypt has a relatively rich private sector with a lot of capabilities and richness in terms of their capitals, in terms of their training, their proficiency, their richness in terms of controlling their different fields of activities. And that was manifested in different ways, indeed, not only in Egypt, but in Africa. There are giant or big Egyptian companies are building dams in African countries, and yes. building or paving roads or building big construction buildings and skyscrapers sometimes. And other advanced productions like carpets and ceramics and some electronics and electric appliances, and endless list of production that are being produced today in Egypt, which is, I would say, a take-off gate to a wider range of production and industry and more advanced ones. And the good way to enlarge this and deepen this and to make it even more advanced is to share it, is to bring partners, yes. and bring partners from other countries who are willing to join us and to go together.
To maximize the benefits.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this is one of the most, beneficiary steps that could be taken, and the president, both presidents have emphasized that. And I'm quite sure that this is going to be translated practically by bringing both representatives of private sectors in both countries together, joining hands and see exactly what they can do together. And I have to say also that this is, in terms of cooperation, is a must. It's not a luxurious one. It's not a luxurious move. It's a must. Yes. One of the most important richness points of any private sector company is its readiness to join hands with foreign companies, equivalent counterparts in other countries, because that means more advanced techniques. It means more recent, production methodologies in terms of administration and in terms of training, in terms of capacity building for employees, in terms of mass production process and hosting the most advanced or the high-tech, techniques of production and industry in different fields of, yes. of private sector companies, and I would say also that this is also a strong hope of Egyptians that private sector in Egypt managed to go strongly and with confidence through this critical phase taking the Egyptian economy in hands and moving ahead. We have to rely on that, hopefully. Yeah.
Yes, Doctor, we will be heading to the third report of the daily debate for tonight, and it comes from India. This time the President, His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi visited India, which showed a huge interest in investing in the Egyptian infrastructure field as well as the clean energy field in the country. We'll be having more details in the upcoming report, so stay tuned.
Firms express huge interest in investing in Egypt's clean energy and infrastructure projects. Leading Indian companies, including Renew Power and the Adani Group, have expressed to President Sisi huge interest in investing in Egypt's renewable energy sector, the production of green hydrogen, and infrastructure development. Presidential spokesman Bassem Rodi said that Sumant Sin, the founder, chairman, and CEO of Renew Power, India's leading renewable energy company, voiced in a meeting with President Sisi during his 3-day visit to New Delhi his company's huge interest to cooperate with Egypt in the area of clean energy and the production of green hydrogen. He also praised the leading Egyptian role in international climate action as demonstrated in the hosting of the 27th UN Climate Change Conference in the Red Sea city of Sharm el-Sheikh in November. President Sisi confirmed to Stena Egypt's interest in collaborating with the Indian side given its broad expertise in the field of new and renewable energy. The Egyptian government is providing unprecedented support to green energy sector as a top priority in order to capitalize on the country's renewable energy resources, including wind and sun. Egypt launched its national strategy for green hydrogen production during COP27 with a vision to produce green hydrogen at the cheapest price worldwide. The country has signed numerous memoranda of understanding on hydrogen and green ammonia production with international partners over the past year as part of its efforts to attract foreign investments into the sectors in order to become a transit route for clean energy to Europe. The meeting also focused on cooperation with the Indian Global Energy Company and additional projects in Egypt for the production of electricity from new and renewable sources of energy as part of the national strategy for the generation of clean energy. President Sisi also met with chairman of Adani Group of India, which owns a network of companies operating in various sectors, particularly infrastructure. President Sisi stressed his readiness to provide all necessary support for the group's future projects in Egypt, in particular in cooperation with the Sovereign Fund of Egypt in the field of ports development on the coasts of the Mediterranean, the Red Sea, and the Gulf of Suez. The meeting discussed investment prospects for the Adani Group in other aspects of Egypt's infrastructure, including airport, the new and renewable energy complexes, and their transmission and distribution networks. It also covered other areas like the data centers and their marine and group cable networks, as well as industrial zones for the production of green hydrogen and its derivatives. Both meetings were attended by Minister of Electricity, Renewable Energy Mohammed Sheikh and Minister of Planning and Economic Development Hale Said. Around 50 Indian companies are operating in Egypt currently, providing direct employment to approximately 38,000 Egyptians. Indian companies invest over $3.2 billion across the chemical, energy, retail, and agricultural sectors, among others. Egypt has promised to offer incentives and facilities for Indian investment as both countries agreed to elevate their bilateral relations to a strategic partnership on all levels.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate. Dr. Ibrahim Al-Ghazawy, a final comment about the visit of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to India to be chosen as the guest of honor, the chief guest of honor of the Republic Day for 2023 in India. And Egypt as well will be invited to the summit of the G20 because India is heading the summit for this year.
Well, that's good conclusion to our program today, indeed, because India, as I said, it's a giant country in terms of, not only in terms of economy, indeed, but in terms of everything, in terms of technology, in terms of population, in terms of the market, open market, in terms of advancement, and they have a lot of positive achievements that could be very much when they are available to Egyptian companies and counterparts, very, very good indeed. And I think this move with the magnification of the good relations, historical relations between Egypt and India, and this warm reception that have been for the President Sisi there, it gives indication that yes, we can build on that, and India is a real partner for Egypt for looking for progress in the near future.
Very evident in the past report. Dr. Ibrahim Al-Ghazawy, the Professor of International Law. Thank you very much for being with us today on the Daily Debate.
Well, thank you so much.
Anytime. And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. I will be leaving you, however, with the latest presidential activities of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi in the past week. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi arrived in New Delhi to participate as a guest of honor in India's Republic Day celebrations. On his Twitter account, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi welcomes al-Sisi's historic visit to India. The Indian President and Prime Minister received President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the Presidential Palace in New Delhi. His Excellency President al-Sisi delivered a speech in a joint press conference with India's Prime Minister at the Indian Presidential Palace. President al-Sisi met with India's Foreign Minister Subrahmanyam Jaishankar at India's Presidential Palace in New Delhi. President al-Sisi visited and laid a wreath on the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial in New Delhi. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi wrote a word in the VIP guest book at the Mahatma Gandhi Memorial. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held summit talks at the Hyderabad House in New Delhi with the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. During the close talks, Prime Minister Modi expressed his country's great appreciation for President al-Sisi and his wise leadership that has maintained security and stability in Egypt after incidents of chaos and violence in the aftermath of what was known as the Arab Spring. He also noted the unprecedented development renaissance in Egypt. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi took part in an expanded meeting of the heads of the top Indian companies and Indian businessmen in New Delhi. The meeting was attended by the Indian Minister of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal. Indian President Draupadi Murmu received President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi at the Presidential Palace in New Delhi. President al-Sisi delivered a speech during a banquet held by the Indian President at the Presidential Palace in New Delhi in honor of His Excellency. President al-Sisi attended India's Republic Day celebrations. In the presence of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the Egyptian Army Forces took part in India's Republic Day parade, bearing testimony to Indian-Egyptian long-standing ties. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received at his residence in New Delhi the Vice President of the Republic of India, Mr. Jagdeep Dhankar. A joint statement between Arab Republic of Egypt and India was released during President el-Sisi's state visit to India. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi received at his residence in New Delhi Mr. Suman Sinya, the founder, chairman and CEO of the Renew Power, India's leading renewable energy company. Gautam Adani, the founder and chairman of the Adani Group, an Indian multinational conglomerate, asserted that his group was seeking to step up cooperation with Egypt in light of the strong and supportive political will at the highest level to bolster development amid stable investment climates in Egypt that it has enjoyed in the Middle East region. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi arrived in the Azerbaijani capital Baku on an official bilateral visit. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi started his visit to Azerbaijan by meeting with senior economic figures, businessmen and heads of major companies in Azerbaijan. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held talks at summit level with Azeri President Ilham Aliyev at the headquarters of the Zaglov Presidential Palace in Baku, and an official reception ceremony was held for the president. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi gives a speech during the joint press conference held with the President of the Republic of Azerbaijan. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi arrives in Yerevan, the capital of Armenia, on a bilateral visit, the first of its kind for a president of Egypt since the independence of Armenia. An official reception was held for President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi in the Armenian capital, Yerevan. President el-Sisi and his Armenian counterpart held talks. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and the Armenian President Khachaturian witnessed the signing of several memorandums of understanding. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and the Armenian President held a joint press conference.